Astana these days will become a platform for the leading think tanks of the world. High-profile experts and policymakers will gather in the capital of Kazakhstan to address global issues and the role of the middle powers in solving them. The theme is very important, taking into account the current geopolitical context. Reporter with President team will follow its agenda to share all the exclusive details with you, so let's get started. Astana think tank forum this year, held under the theme of the middle powers and their role in the global order, aims to foster dialogue and enhance knowledge exchange among key foreign policy thinkers. The event is also attended by the representatives of the international organizations.
So this type of event is important for different reasons. One is that it's intellectually stimulating to hear latest thoughts of leaders from middle powers. The second point is that the OECD is working increasingly with middle powers, non-member economies. So to us, the theme of the event, middle powers in the future, is exactly what we look at as the OECD aims at counting on a global scale, working increasingly with countries that are not necessarily members, but that count on every matter when it comes to global governance.
The head of state arrives at the venue. He will be delivering his speech, touching some very important issues of the global agenda.
That time we're very honored to have the plenary session, the opening of day 2, with the opening speech by His Excellency President Tokayev of Kazakhstan.
Speaking at the plenary session of the forum, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev emphasizes the role of the middle powers in the increasingly polarized world. In the times where major powers are not able to reach a compromise, the president continues, it is the middle powers that find themselves in the position of promoting and supporting global cooperation. Mentioning Kazakhstan as a respected member of the international community, the head of state shares the main priorities of its foreign policy.
The key pillars of our foreign policy are independence, multilateralism, regional stability, and diplomacy. In this regard, we strongly support the United Nations' central role as the world's sole universal organization driving global cooperation and progress. We believe that constructive engagement with all major partners is essential to fostering long-term peace and prosperity both in our region and beyond.
In his speech, President Tokayev also addresses the Russian-Ukrainian conflict.
As I mentioned during my recent meeting with Chancellor Scholz, Russia militarily is invincible. This is a fact confirmed by Russia's military capabilities and the support of the Russian people of the policy of President Putin and by history itself. Therefore, we believe that seeking peaceful solutions is absolutely essential, and we support realistic peace plans from all countries, including China and Brazil. There is no other way. The alternative is a war of mutual extermination. Perhaps some world powers are interested in this, but this is the path to the abyss. The pursuit of peace through constructive dialogue is not a sign of weakness, but a reflection of strategic wisdom and foresight.
Given the history of the region, this is a challenging thing. So my question to you is, are you happy? What are the challenges in terms of leveraging?
Lars-Henrik Röller, a founder and chair of Berlin Global Dialogue, has joined the forum as a moderator of the plenary session with the President of Kazakhstan. Answering our questions, Mr. Röller has underlined Kazakhstan's increasing commitment to promoting global dialogue, a vital concept in the modern, challenging international environment. Do you think, your personal view, are these goals, of establishing peace, establishing, dialogue, promoting dialogue, are approachable now? On what kind of stage are we now in, addressing and solving this issue?
Yeah, I think we have to be realistic and we have to be pragmatic. We've always had conflict. It is currently perhaps much more severe than at any point in the past. I was in the German government for 10 years working for former Chancellor Merkel. So I think politics and solving problems is a step-by-step, slow process. And we need to work on it. And so I think we're not going to have peace in the world forever, but I think we should cooperate to minimize the negative impact we have on each other. Also in the area of climate change. I think this is a fundamental issue. They call this global public goods. So these are things which we all need. And I think a pragmatic, realistic approach of moving forward step by step through international cooperation, through middle powers like Kazakhstan, is the right approach.
And my last question, today you've moderated the session, you've asked your questions to the president. Are you happy, are you satisfied with the answers you've got?
Yes, I think the speech was very good because essentially pointed out the fact that Kazakhstan wants to play a constructive role. And I think it's very important. And you are in a very strategic situation when you look at the map where you are located. So I think the approach is the right one. But it's always, the problem is having the right vision is one thing, but actually getting it done is the next step. But this is, of course, not only Kazakhstan who can do it. You need partners in the region. The president also said you need regional cooperation. And getting that done over the next few years is something which is going to be very important, and I wish him well.
And there are indeed a lot of global issues to be resolved by the international community. The task of the middle powers is to contribute actively to finding these uneasy solutions through global cooperation.
The rise of the middle powers has a lot to do with the failure of the great powers to address some of the major issues that are facing the world today. And that could be Gaza, Ukraine, it could be Taiwan, but it also is issues like climate change or like nuclear weapons, which is something which Kazakhstan in particular has standing on.
That's very interesting notion about the rise of middle powers, declining the powers that used to be dominant. So in that terms, I'm very interested about the role of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan now is promoting itself as being a middle power. So what do you think is and will be the role of Kazakhstan in addressing and solving global issues?
Well, Kazakhstan is a middle power by several definitions, economically certainly, and geographically being sandwiched between Russia and China. But it's an opportunity, I think, for Kazakhstan to demonstrate leadership on some of the major issues that are facing the world today. And I think, in particular, Kazakhstan has standing on the issue of nuclear weapons and non-proliferation. And I think that Kazakhstan can take the lead on that.
Middle powers can and should solve global issues, experts notice, through dialogue and joint actions. The exchange of opinions now should be transferred into the real actions. That's it for today. See you next time.